Hey, I'm Chris Broderick. I play in a band called Defiance, and I am here today to show off my new Jackson USA Select Signature Series 6 and 7 string USA Select Hardtail. The first thing that really intrigued me about Jackson was they were like the company that could. You know, when I was talking to them, I was like, yeah, is there any chance, you know, we could maybe do an asymmetrical body? And they were like, yeah, sure, you know. Well, what about, you know, stainless steel frets on my guitar? Yeah, no problem, you know. What about the 12-inch continuous radius? I really want a continuous 12-inch radius. Oh yeah, sure, we'll do that. When you meet a company like that that's just so willing to experiment with you and really work on your design, that's something very personal to you, you know, they can't be beat. Those elements and more went into the design of this guitar. You know, everything from my request to get Planet Waves tuners on here, which I love. They're super smooth, they lock, you don't have string ends hanging around every which way. Custom DiMarzio pickups. We have obviously the really nice looking flame maple top with the transparent black binding and solid back, which is mahogany, by the way. And then we come to the newest feature of my series, which is this saddle or this bridge right here, which to me is really killer because it has such a well-defined mid-range that I haven't gotten in any other guitar, that this bridge to me really sets it apart. And another thing that's really cool about this is each one of these strings has its own bridge and saddle, and you know, it's kind of like its own independent instrument in a way. The electronics are still the same for this guitar. You know, it has obviously my two custom DiMarzios, three-way switch, pretty typical. You pull the volume knob to split the coils, and you actually pull the tone knob to engage the tone. I don't use tone that often, and if you have something like that in line, it will take away some of the power, the punch of pickups. So I wanted to keep that out, but have it offered for anybody that uses it. So we got that, and then finally a kill switch at the end. So having the offset asymmetrical body to me was important for two reasons. One, I think it looks cool aesthetically. It looks like it's in motion to me. And secondly, it wants to make the guitar sit really with the neck up, which is an angle that I really like it at. If you're doing some crazy riffs, it's hard if you're trying to hold up the guitar at the same time. So I definitely didn't want that with this guitar. You know, in addition to the alterations that I've made to this, I am a huge fan of the Soloist body shape. You know, it makes it so you can sit while playing the guitar and put it on your left leg if you want. You get really good access to the frets, and the rest for the right arm is typically a lot better than, you know, a lot of other shapes. So that's one thing that makes me a fan of the Soloist in general. Wood has a big impact on tone. It also has a big impact on the transmission of sound as well, as far as how long a note sustains and how fast it decays. Typically, the more solid the wood, the more sustain you get over time, but the less initial punch you'll get at the beginning of a note. And I prefer that overall, to have more sustain, to let the notes kind of sing out a little bit more. And for that reason, I went with more dense woods. It's a pretty typical combination with maple top, mahogany back, but I definitely wanted the woods to be dense so I could go after that tone that's a little bit like, you know, a Les Paul a little bit in a way, you know, to get that really heavy. You know, and get that really chunky, meaty sound, right? With the inclusion of this particular guitar, one thing that's really important about it, having a fixed bridge, is the ability to do double stops and keep them in tune and stuff like that. So if you get That's really important for the bridge, and it also, you know, if you split the coils, you get a very sort of single coil sound, of course, a little bit Stratocaster-ish, I guess I would say, and that's something I was going for. You also get the ability to have thicker sounds with the neck pickup. The pickups for my signature series actually happened somewhat quickly because I had started with some pickups that I knew were pretty close to what I liked. Originally, it was a deactivator in the bridge that I really liked and a PAF Pro in the neck. And when talking to Steve Blucher at DiMarzio, I was telling him that I just wanted a little bit more of a like mid-range bump to get the fundamental note a little bit more. You know, we used some equipment. I put a filter in front of my amp and sent that filter to him, showing him how I wanted to change the frequencies of the pickups. He sent me a pickup back and they nailed it, you know. One thing that I want to mention that I was really pleased with from the get-go, which I'd never had any experience with, was Jackson's C-shaped neck. I was always used to a flatter profile back, and the C-shaped neck to me is just seamless, and that's one thing I really like. So another cool thing that Jackson introduced me to was the inclusion of graphite rods running down the neck. Initially, we had talked about it, and I was thinking that, you know, I'm not going to worry about graphite rods right now. I just want a nice solid maple neck, which definitely was the case, but through touring and moving to different climates and different, you know, humidities and everything that can mess with a guitar, definitely did. And so I wanted it a little bit more stable. And so they started including the graphite rods in my necks, and it's just, it stays so straight. I can take it anywhere. You know, every once in a while I might have to adjust it a little bit, but that's the nature of wood. And if you're playing a wood guitar, you should expect that. The reason I wanted stainless steel frets on my signature series was so that another reason that luthiers probably hate me is because I wanted the frets to last forever. You know, I didn't want, with all of the if I didn't have stainless steel frets, eventually I would have these nice huge divots, and I'd be taking them back to Jackson and annoying you guys and being like, can you please help me with my frets? And you guys of course would, but I wanted something where the frets would last forever. Having, you know, different features to me makes it so that we can kind of cross all of the genres and boundaries that music sometimes has, you know. I think a lot of people think, okay, if you play country, you need a Telly. If you play jazz, you need a 335 or whatever. You know, if you play metal, you need a Jackson. And I think this guitar goes a long way to showing you that, you know, you can transcend some of those things, especially when, you know, the average person, if they like multiple styles of music, they can't usually afford all of these great guitars to make sure that they have the exact nuance of a given style. So to me, this guitar kind of allows you to transcend some of that.